Bradshaw Live has been following Miguel Perez Jr. He was a Army veteran who was deported from the United States and has recently returned and is now a United States citizen. Today we're celebrating with him. Miguel was finally granted his citizenship on October 4th, 2019. Miguel and his pastor, Emma Lozano of Lincoln United Methodist Church in Chicago, are with me to discuss this incredible turn of events and what life has been like for Miguel since returning to the United States. Welcome, Miguel. Welcome, Pastor Lozano. Miguel, how's it feel, my man? You're a citizen and back.
It feels great. It feels great. I'm just so happy to be here where I belong, back home.
You came to the United States. You had a green card. You had enlisted in the military. You believed you were a United States citizen or thought that by serving in the military you were a United States citizen. You were honorably discharged, and what happened from there?
I was diagnosed with a PTSD.
And I believe you were also diagnosed with brain injury from a shrapnel explosion while in the military in Afghanistan. That's correct too, right?
That is correct.
Right. We've interviewed you before, and through my recollection is that the military really didn't give you much services when you came back after serving 2 tours of duty, and you were kind of left on your own.
That is also correct. And I just started self-medicating, and that's what led me to get into a little bit of trouble. And I ended up going to prison for a little bit. And the day that I was supposed to come home back to my family, to my community, that's when ICE picked me up, and I was in an ICE detention center for a year and a half.
And so how many years of jail did you serve?
I served 7.5 years in prison, plus 1 year and a half in a detention center, and I was in deportation. I was in Mexico for another year and a half.
What were you found guilty of that you did 7.5 years in prison?
Delivery of a controlled substance.
When did you realize you were going to get deported?
A little bit prior to my out date from prison. That's when ICE initiated contact, and that's when they were telling me that I was facing deportation, which I couldn't believe, and I didn't think. I thought it was an error.
So, yeah, because nobody told you during your criminal trial. Nobody told you, hey, by the way, when you go to jail for 7 years, you're going to get deported after. The first time you heard about this is at the end of your jail sentence, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So tell me, how did ICE treat you? Did you get any special treatment because you were a veteran, you fought for America, or you were just treated like everybody else?
Oh, absolutely not. I was treated like everybody else, and it's very important for me to point out that being in a detention center is 10 times worse than being in prison or in any county jail.
Why is that?
Because,
Can you describe the difference?
yes, when you're in a regular county jail, you still have your rights, because you haven't been found guilty. And once you're in prison, you still have your rights as a citizen, just as a human. And when you're in a detention center, all those rights, for some reason, they think that you don't deserve them or you don't have them, and you get treated like less than human, really.
Like an animal. Were you ever expecting to come back to the United States? Did you ever think you were going to get a pardon? Did you give up hope when you were in Mexico?
No, I've never gave hope, not for once. I mean, there was a little bit of doubt every now and then, but my faith it remains strong, and I had all this support from my community, from my family, from Pastor Emma, from the church, and I knew that things were coming.
So it's amazing when I think about the turn of events. Here you are in Mexico, a deported veteran, not knowing if you'll ever be able to come back to America, basically the only country you know and the country you fought for. And from August getting a pardon to September being invited to come for medical treatment and a citizenship interview to being sworn in 10 days after. That must have been some celebration when you swore in. Tell me about that.
Well, yes, we got the call. We were actually close to downtown, and my attorney called and said, "Hey, where are you guys at?" We're near downtown. It's like, "Can you guys be there like in 10 minutes?" Like, for what? It's like, because they want to swear him in. And we rushed over there. We did the ceremony, and then we came back to the church and celebrated.
Wow. Now you got the pardon in August 2019, thanks to Pastor Emma and our entire team, and it was a great job. And then you got to come back to the United States for medical treatment and a hearing on your citizenship in September 2019. Were you surprised that all of this happened so fast?
That I was. I received a call on a Friday, and I was told that the governor had given me the pardon. And then a little bit under a month, less than a month, another Friday, I received another call and say, "Hey, get ready because you're flying in on Sunday night."
So,
And it just so happens.
I'm always curious. You were spent 7.5 years in prison, and then the next time you saw fresh air, meaning you were not behind bars, because then you were in immigration detention for a year and a half. Then you were in Mexico, which is a different country than the United States, and you came back to America. Was it different?
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
Tell me
Yes,
what was different.
when I was in Mexico, it didn't feel like I was free. It just like I always said, it felt like a bigger cell with a nicer view. But I was still in prison because I was not back home where I belong. And now that I'm home, I can just walk outside, hop on the bus, hop on the train, take a ride downtown, walk the streets. Because I'm home.
He actually is starring in a documentary that's called Ready for War that talks about the deported green card veterans. And I ask people to watch it because it's a very well made documentary and which stars Miguel, his mom, and the struggle for the deported veterans because there's so many of them that are still left behind. We can't forget them. But we also have to understand that that's part of a real big problem in this country where we treat certain people as less than others. And we need to really make those kind of changes and we need to band together. We need to unite in order to make this the America that we think that it's worth fighting for.
What
Right.
was that like for you being in that documentary? How much time did they take to interview you and find out all about you? And what's the reaction been from people who've seen it?
Well, the documentary, I think it lasted over, with me, it lasted over like about a year and a half because they started interviewing me while I was still in detention. And it continued while I got deported to Tijuana and while I was there. And, and, and it's just, I don't know, it's just surreal. The first time that I got to see the documentary was here in the premiere in Chicago, and it was very heartbreaking. I couldn't stop crying. I've seen the documentary about 6 times now, and every it doesn't get easier. Even though I know the outcome and it's a happy one because I'm here, but it's still very watching every single step that happened is just heartbreaking.
Especially since you suffer from post traumatic stress disorder. And I'm sure these last decade didn't help your PTSD, it added to it. And then to go back and relive it and, and see it, it must be very painful for you.
It is very painful, but what really helps now is that I'm back home and I have access to all the resources that I was lacking before. I'm getting the care that I need mentally, physically, and that helps a lot.
Talk about bringing your boys back home and alive. That's You are the ultimate example of that.
I,
Abandoned by your country, but brought back by people who love you and have concern for humanity and concern for America. It's been a few months now back. What are your plans for the future?
well, things haven't really settled because since I got back, it was just straight to work as far as advocating for the rest of the deported veterans. And I have a great leadership with Pastor Emma with the church, and we're just advocating for the rest of the
So,
deported
so
veterans.
this, so you're not
It,
you're not leaving your men behind, and you're
absolutely,
taking this on as your mission. Are you going to Washington D.C.? Where are you advocating?
absolutely. I've been to Washington D.C. Two, 2 to 3 times already. We met with multiple elected officials. I've been to
Tijuana.
to Tijuana with U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth, and she's also very upfront on the fight about bringing the Port of Veterans back. She introduced 3 new bills this year.
Now, your parents, they fought hard for you. They're the ones who reached out to Pastor Emma originally that got ultimately this whole entire thing going. How are they feeling?
Oh, they're thrilled. They don't even sometimes they don't even know that I'm home. Sometimes we bump into each other in the hallway, and my mom just like, oh my God, it's like she gets scared.
Right.
She she
She's
just
still surprised
she's
that she got him
surprised.
back. Yeah.
Now you have children as well. How old are they?
My daughter's 22 years old and my son's 12.
So when you were deported to Mexico, or even before that, when you were in prison, did they come visit you?
My daughter did. My son, I didn't want him to visit me in prison, but we did communicate it on the phone and through letters. And while I was in Mexico, we Skype, FaceTime, and on the phone. And now I get to see him.
How
Get to
how
hug.
often do you see your children now?
At least once a week.
Wow. And how has your relationship changed now that you can have physical contact with them versus just Skype?
Well, it's really not that much of a difference. It's now that we're always had that strong relationship. So now it's just being physically there. It's thrilling, but it doesn't really change much because we're always been together.
So I understand one of the things that you did right after you got sworn in is you registered directly to vote. Why was that important to you, and why did you do that right away?
Because that's our strongest weapon that we have. As U.S. citizens, that's the strongest weapon that we have. Is go out and vote. If you don't like who's elected, that's what else can you do?
And by the way, what a lesson in democracy this right here. So you want things to change. Governors, presidents, congressmen, senators, they work for you, and they want to keep their jobs. And for them to keep their jobs, they got to keep their constituents happy. So this is democracy right here at its best and finest. Unfortunately, we've seen the worst of it as well when you get deported. How would somebody get in touch with your organization, Green Card Vets, if they want to donate money or help the cause? Where would they go?
Through social media, greencardvets.org.
Okay. Now, lastly, before I let you go, and congratulations to both of you. It's a very heartwarming story. And as an American, I apologize for everything that you went through, but we could only look forward. We can't look backwards. What does the American dream mean to you, and how are you going to live it?
The American dream is just a family, country, community, and how we're going to live it by enjoying every single day.
And Pastor
And
Emma?
I would just like to say that it's not just the United States of America, but I think everywhere in the world. What really is killing us is not so much guns or even cancer or war. What it is inequality. So for me, it would be equality, that people would be treated and the same and fairly and equally, so that we can actually raise in our families together. And that's the kind of America I want to live for, and I would fight for. And that's what we're fighting for now, because we think that everybody is the same in the eyes of God.
Miguel Perez, Pastor Emma Lozano, thank you for coming on. Miguel, congratulations. Wish you all the best now that you're back. Pastor Emma and Miguel, I wish you both great success in your organization and helping other deported veterans reach their goals like you helped Miguel. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brad.
it. Okay. Speak soon. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.